Okay, so the system architecture is one of the important thing you need to write in your proposal. And in this chapter, I will explain more about the CRUD. Do you still remember what is CRUD? Okay. Create, read, update, and delete. And after you do the CRUD, okay, I will just make it simple CRUD, and then we will review the system architecture that we built in this section. So this section will deal with the system architecture, and then you will learn how to do the user registration. In this case, we just want to put the user into the database, and we make our own system. Okay. And user detail list we want to show on the web, and then we want to update and we want to delete. There is a built-in function in Django about the user, but I do not want to use that built-in function. Let's try to figure out how to manage our user first. So if you know how to register, if you know how to show the detail list, if you know how to update and how to delete, you can do with any other kind of problems. For example, if you are making the online shop, okay, so you can register your product and then you can show. You can update your product or you can delete the product. Okay. So the system architecture, actually it is started with the database. And when you build the system architecture, it is only a concept tool model. So it should define the structure, behavior, and the overview about the system. So the system architecture diagram will be used to show the relationship between different components. So we already know in the information system in the web, we have at least three components. So we have at least three components, which is M, and then we have V, and then we have T. Okay. So usually they are created for systems which include hardware and software. And these are represented in the diagram to show the interaction between them. So if you know that the system contains hardware and software, so there will be a kind of diagram to separate those. But in this case, we are going to only focus on the web. So we will create the system architecture only for web at this stage. Okay. And in our web, which is using the Django, we will use the MVT concepts. So we are going to make this one. We have the model. So we learned that the model is about the database. If you already joined the database class, I hope that you understand how to make the ERD entity relationship diagram. We already have one example in the previous chapter about the model. At that example, we have the questions and the choice. Okay. So those two tables are intercorrelated, and then you have the foreign key, you have the primary key, and how the primary key connect to the foreign key. And we make the ERD for that one. So in your proposal, yeah, you need to show also your plan for this project, and then it will be good if you can show a draft of the ERD, even though it is not detailed, but I believe that the draft of ERD will be good for your proposal. And as you know, every time we create the Django, it consists of views. Okay. In the views, we will have many functions, or yeah, we can say like this is the view to show your result into the HTML file. Okay. So this, I can say this is a view. View means I would like to show in the user side. Maybe we can say this is the template. Okay. And for every time we want to go to the template, we need to have the view, and then we need to have the link to go to the HTML file. Okay. So these are the files that are related to the function in the views.py. So we will make delete member, we will make update member, we will make create member, we will make list member. So those are the function names. And then in the urls.py, those are the links. Okay, those are the links to connect to the HTML file. Okay, those are the links to connect to the HTML file. And the browser means the user can connect either to this HTML or this HTML or this HTML. Okay, so this is the overview about the system architecture. Because it is only an example, yeah, it is very small. But when your project is a big, like it's quite big, then it becomes more complicated. Okay? So there will be like more details on the views.py, more details on the urls.py, and you need to rewrite something to fit with all the functions. So anyway, we will do that system into our Django. If you still remember, we already did the framework coding and the model coding. The framework coding means we need to start a project. Okay, after we start the project, we modify the settings. If you still remember, when we do the settings, we can modify the time zone, and then we modify where the templates should be located. And then we will migrate and create super user. So those steps already explained in the previous section. Now I would like to focus on the remaining step. So the remaining step will be doing the starting app. So in this case, I would like to make the user management app and then add the user management in the setting, and I will create the model and then do the admin and other things related with this model coding, make migrations and migrate. After we finish with this one, we will focus on the view, URL, and then the template. So let's do one by one. Okay. I suggest to do this with one folder. So we will create a new app named user mgmt. I can say this is the user management. Okay. If you want to make it longer, yeah, it's okay, but it's better to make a short name. So I will still use the big project. And then under this big project, you will have like the terminal and the console. Okay. I think I will stop this one first. So in the terminal, yeah, you will see this is the terminal for the Python code. You can use this one, or you can use the Python, this one, run manage.py task. Okay. So it's both of them are fine. So I will just use this one. You can copy and paste. Or if you want to type by yourself, then I will just type this one. Python manage.py startup user mgmt. Okay. So when I finish with this one, and if you wait for a moment, you will see there is a new folder, and this user mgmt contains all the relevant files for this application in Django. Okay, after you create the user management folder, you can go to the setting. So the settings is under the big project file folder, and then yeah, you can add more apps in the install apps. So in this case, I will just add this one, user mgmt dot, and then you can get the apps and then dot user mgmt config. So basically, whenever you start the app, okay, when you do start app, it will automatically create this configuration. So this configuration is under the apps.py. Okay, you can see there's one class user mgmt config. So I will not use at this moment, okay, but you can just reuse this install app, and we can use this one throughout the contents of the slide. Okay. Okay, I give you some seconds to finish with those two. So the first, we will create the app. We call it is an app, and command is start app, and the name of the folder is user mgmt. And then next, you need to put the user mgmt folder into the settings.py. After you do this one, then let's make one table. Okay, I do not want to make it complicated, because in this case we are going to do more things with the CRUD. So in the user mgmt, you will see one file, models.py. So you can double click on the models.py and then copy the code here and paste into the Django environment. Now you can see there are 4 attributes. This is from the models. So we want to use any functions from the models in the Django, and this is a class, and the class name is member. It means the table name is member, and we have 4 attributes: salutation, first name, last name, and email. For the salutation, it is a character, and the length of the character is 10. First name, it is also a character, and the length of the character maximum is 30. Okay, here 30, and the last name is also a character with the maximum length 40. And then email, we have the email field. So if you want to trace out the models, okay, so there are many kind of elements. We can use character field, we can use email, we can use integer field, or yeah, you can have the auto field, means auto increment, or yeah, average, pick auto fields, and big integer field, etc. Okay, so you can see all the things here, like date field, date time field, decimal, and so on. Okay, I think I do not have time to explain all those things. If you need those attributes, you can check. For example, you have the UUID. Okay, so this also important these days because this is the universal ID that will be generated automatically from your system. For example, in our case, if you go to the settings, so this secret key, yeah, it's a kind of UUID. So this is the universal ID for your project. Okay, next after we create the models, we can go to the admin page. So the admin page, in this case, here I do not have any things here, but the next I would like to import from the member, and then I want to register the member. It means the member table will be registered into the admin side. After we have the table and after we register the table member into the admin side, then we can do the make migration. So you can do Python make manage 30y make migrations. And don't forget, when you do the make migrations, you need to call the app name. If you don't call the app names, yeah, it will valid for all the application. Because for the previous one, FAQ, we already did the make migrations. So now we just focus on the user MGMT. And once we do the make migrations, you can see that this application will create a new model. So the model will be member. No, sorry, I think the PPT is still using the question and choice. Okay. And then after the make migration, you need to use the manage.py and migrate. Okay. So in this case, the user MGMT will be embedded into the Django environment. And you can run the program. Before we do the views, I think it will be good if we have one data. So you can go to admin, and now you will see that there is a new table which is under the user MGMT. This is the user management. This is the app name. And then there is one new table which is member. I do not know if your computer is the same with mine, but in my computer they recognize me as the previous user. If your system does not recognize you, you may need to input your username and your password. Okay, so we already have this username and password before on the previous slide, but if it is automatically show your system, then you will see this page. Okay, and then I think it. Let's make one more. Let's make one data. You can just add anything. I will just give Mr. AABB. Okay, it's up to you. And the email, we need to follow the rules. Every email should have at Golbengi. Okay, so we need to put the at symbol to verify that it is an email. Yeah, you can type anything. Okay, let's say just apc@abc.com, and then I will just save. Now you will have one object. Okay. Okay, let me give you some seconds to do this one before I continue to the view and the URL and the template coding. Okay, so let's continue. Before we do with the template, I would like to make a new folder under these templates. Okay, because we have two applications, which is FAQ and the user management. It is good to distinguish the HTML file. So this HTML file is for the FAQ, and the user management, we will create a new HTML file. It is not good if you put all those things in the folder templates. So I would like to make a new folder. Okay, so in this templates, you can just click this one and then create a new folder or new directory. Okay, so please follow me step by step. You can create a directory. Okay. And this directory, let's say for the FAQ, I will make FAQ directory. Okay, and then I will move those two files into the FAQ directory. It will give you the automatic reference search. Okay, it means every file that go to this HTML file will be changed with the FAQ folder. So if you do with the refactor, okay, now you can see your HTML files are inside the folder FAQ. And if you go to the views.py in the FAQ, now you will see that it contains the directory name automatically. Okay. So by using this PyCharm environment, it will be helpful for you. Whenever you change something, it can change another thing. Okay. But not all, but at least for this kind of changing in the project, it will automatically search all the references. So the PyCharm can do something to help you for this kind of changes. Okay. After you adjust this one, now let's go to the views. If we know the concept about the MVD, at least we have 3 steps. Okay, we need to make the views.py, and then we need to specify the URL in the urls.py, and then we need to create the HTML file. So the first is the views.py in the user mgmt. In this file, the views.py, let's copy and paste this one. Okay, this is yeah, we want to use the existing library in the Django, and we are going to use the member table from the user mgmt models, and there is one function, list member. So this is a view. Okay, we want to connect the database. This is the database. If you still remember the query. Okay, so the query means we want to see all the members in the table member, and then put all the objects into the variable members, and the members later will be connected to the members in the template, which is the list members.html. And I would like to put this list member.html in the folder user mgmt. So we need to distinguish with the app FAQ and the user mgmt. When finished with the views, then we go to the next, which is the URLs. So in the folder user mgmt, let's create a new file, urls.py. So let's make a new Python file. Okay, let's make a new Python file, and the Python file name is urls. The Python file name is urls. Usually we need to create this one at the first time. And copy and paste the file here. So the urls.py contain one path. It means if we are accessing this path, we will do the list members. The list member is to get all the data from the database and then show it into the HTML file. So it is only the link. The name, yeah, I will explain more about this link. And I would like to use views. So here is views.py. So if you click, it will go to the views.py. Okay, this one and the URLs. So this is the URLs for only the user management system. Okay. After you have the URLs in the user management system, let's create one more path in the parent folder. What is the parent folder? The parent folder is the big project. So you need to modify the URLs here. And the first time we have admin. So we can connect to the admin side. We can add the data in the admin side. And then last time we have the FAQ. This is one of the application. Okay. So in FAQ, we have the question from the user, and then we have the answers, and we put all into this link. Now I will make a new path, and the new path, maybe let's say I'll just give you member. So if the path contains member, let's go to the app user mgmt and then call the URLs. You can just define the comma. So later we can add more URLs if we have more application. So it means whenever we go to this member, if we go to the link member, we need to access this urls.py. So the urls.py is this one. Okay. And if there is nothing, then it will automatically show the URLs to the list member. After we define the views, after we define the URLs, we will define the HTML. In this HTML, we need to make one template. Okay, as I explained to you, we need to make a directory, and the directory can be mgmt, user mgmt. Actually, you can define your own folder name as long as it is the same with your definition here. In my case, I use the same folder name. This is the user mgmt, the same with the application name. In the user mgmt, in the folder user mgmt, I would like to create a new HTML file. What is the HTML file? We have list members. Okay. So the list members.html. Now let's copy and paste. So just delete this list member with the code that I gave you in the PowerPoint. Okay. And after we have this list member.html, let's run. How to run this code? We will need to access member. Okay, the link member, and you will see the member list, which is only one data. ID equals to 1, and then the salutation is Mr. First name is AA, the last name is BB, and then the email is abc@abc.com. Okay. Can you get this result? Okay, I hope that you can finish this one. Now let's see one by one. I guess I don't need to explain the views.py. You already know. And I already explained a little bit about the URLs in the application and the URLs in the parent folder. And then here is the HTML file. In the HTML file, now we have the member list, and then we have the class container. So the class container is from the Bootstrap. Okay. For now, I will not explain the details of the Bootstrap. I will explain on the next PowerPoint. Okay. So there will be another PowerPoint to explain just a very simple Bootstrap. So this is the class from Bootstrap. And then I would like to make a table. And this table is also from Bootstrap. Because we are using the Bootstrap, we can just get the format from the Bootstrap. This is one format of the table in the Bootstrap, as you can see in the HTML. So this is the format in the table. If you have another kind of format, you can check if so this is from the Bootstrap. You can have another kind of table. Yeah, you can have the like this one, table stripe. You can have table border. Okay, so they are different. This is table stripe. So it will be separated with only line, but no separator in the column. If it is border table, then there will be a separator in the column. So you can change, for example, this is table stripe. Let me just use this one, table border. Let's see, is there any different? Yes. So you can see now the column is separated by a line. Okay. There are many other types of the table. I cannot explain one by one. You can search by your own on the web. Okay. So let's just use the table stripe. Yeah, this is like more elegant. Okay. Now I have the first row. You still remember what is TH? What is TH? Yeah. When you create a table, there is TH. What is TH? Anybody remember about TH? This is the table head. Okay, that's good. Thank you. So I think, yeah, if you are familiar with the table, you know the TR and TD. Okay. But in a table, there will be header or table head. So this is the header of the table. I would like to fix the table, and the table will be ID, salutation, first name, last name, and email. And for every of the next row, I will use for loop. Okay, I think you need to understand this template. We already learned about the if equal, and for loop. Okay, so the for loop is to check for every data in the database. In this case, the database is from the data members. So the members here is from the view. Here, the members is from the members obtained from the database. And I would like to show for every of this cell, the first will be the member ID, and then the second will be the member salutation, the third will be the member first name, the fourth will be the member last name, and then the last will be the member email. Okay. This will be the end of the table. And I have one more line to explain this one. So this is a link to connect to the bootstrap. Okay. I cannot explain all the details now, but if you copy and paste this code, okay. So if you connect to the web, and then if you see this one, so this is the code. We call it the CSS. This is the style sheet. You can use this one, just get the code and paste in your HTML like this one. I will use the link, and the relevance or the relation of this one is the style sheet. So the style sheet means I want to show the design. Okay. And the design will be based on this following reference. So the reference will be from this link. It means, in our course, in this information system development, I do not care about your design. Okay. The design is another issue. You can just reuse any of this template for your web page, okay, and you can just focus on how to connect to the database and how to update the data, how to delete the data, and let the design just be the standard, like from the Bootstrap. Okay, then this will be the result for the member. You don't need to make your own design, but you can just reuse the existing design from the Bootstrap. Okay. Yeah, I give the explanation here. Like in the views, yeah, you use the render, okay, and then the render will go to the HTML file, and I don't use the forms and design. I will explain this one later. So in this example, I use the CDN. CDN means the Content Delivery Network. So the CDN here is just link. So we call this is the CDN. I just use the network from the existing code, and then I put it into my code. Okay. And in this case, we utilize the CDN of the Bootstrap. Later, I will explain the basic concept of the Bootstrap, not in this section. Okay. And Bootstrap here is the most popular front-end framework. When you use the Bootstrap, it can be very responsive. When you want to show your HTML in the web, it will be based on the web. If you want to show your page in the smartphone, then it can be responsive according to the size of your smartphone. Okay. So Bootstrap CDN is free and yeah, it is public. So that's why you can see the code. And whenever you go to the table or anything in your HTML file, you can just define with the class. So for example, the table, yeah, what we already did before, it was one of the content in the CDN from the Bootstrap. Yeah, if you want to know more about the Bootstrap, those are the links. Maybe on the next PowerPoint, I will explain a little bit about the concept of Bootstrap. That's all for now. Any questions, comments?